Hi, my name is Ilsa Nicole Redia, and for my environmental health video project, I will be talking about dioxins. The main purpose and objective of my presentation will first to go over the background of dioxins, discuss the human health impacts, and discuss the sources and country exposure limits of dioxins. For my table of contents, first we will look at what are dioxins, a background, and then we will get into graphs. First, we will look at where majority of humans get their dioxins from, different countries' exposure and intake limits, the releases of dioxin and dioxin-like compounds by industry in 2021, quantity of dioxins released from 2012 to 2021, locations of the facilities that reported dioxins, and a summary. As stated by the World Health Organization, the chemical name for dioxin is 2,3,7,8 tetrachloride dibenzopyridioxin. There are over 400 types of dioxin-related compounds, but only around 30 are considered to have significant toxicity, with TCDD being the most toxic. There are many different chemicals that exist within these families, but only those with chlorine atoms in certain positions are toxic, as seen in Figure 1. Based on the World Health Organization, dioxins are environmentally pollutants and are part of the Dirty Dozen. The Dirty Dozen is a group of very hazardous chemicals which are known as persistent organic pollutants, or POPs for short. Many of these chemicals provide beneficial in pest and disease control, crop production, and industry. These same chemicals, however, have unforeseen effects on human health and on the environment. The name dioxin is used for the family of structurally and chemically related compounds, all which are part of POPs. When looking at the different sources, dioxins are mainly formed when products that have carbon and chlorine burn. Plastic, pesticides, paper, herbicides, and other products where chlorine is used in the manufacturing process. Before the material is burned, dioxins typically do not exist. They are especially prevalent in structure fires and wildfires. Backyard burning contributes to the spread of dioxins into the environment by releasing pollutants at the ground level, where it can be incorporated into the food chain and settle on plants. It has been seen that backyard burning occurs most commonly in rural farming areas. The dioxins created are then settled on plants and in turn eaten by animals, where the dioxins are then stored in their fatty tissue. The health impacts. The short-term exposure of humans to the high levels of dioxins may result in darkening of the skin and altered liver function. Long-term exposure is linked to the impairment of the immune system, the development of the nervous system, and the endocrine system as well. Dioxins are highly toxic and can cause cancer, reproductive, and developmental problems. TCDD, also known as dioxin, has been classified by the World Health Organization as a known human carcinogen. As stated from the WHO, more than 90% of human exposure to dioxins is through the food supply, mainly meat and dairy products, fish and shellfish. Therefore, protecting the food supply is critical. Secondary contamination of the food supply needs to be avoided throughout the food chain. Good controls and practices during primary production, processing, distribution, and sale are essential in the production of safe food. As stated earlier, backyard burning occurs most commonly in rural farming areas. The dioxins created are then settled on plants and in turn eaten by animals, and as we can see, especially cows, where the dioxins are then stored in their fatty tissue. But by trimming fat from meat and consuming low-fat dairy products, it can decrease the exposure to dioxin compounds. Since dioxins are fat-soluble, they are stored in the fat tissue and therefore accumulated into the food chain. When looking at the different countries' exposure and intake limits, the exposure limit for TCDD varies depending on the country and the regulations. As seen in the table, the highest exposure limit can be seen in Switzerland at 10 picograms and the smallest limit coming from Germany at 0.0 nanograms. In order to assess long or short-term risks to health due to these substances, total or average intake should be assessed over months, and the tolerable intake should be assessed over a period of at least 1 month. World Health Organization experts establish a tolerable monthly intake of 7 picograms per month. This level is the amount of dioxins that can be ingested over a lifetime without detectable health effects. The following pie chart compares the industry sectors that reported the greatest release of dioxins in units of grams. Many different industry sectors release very different mixes of dioxins. The chemical manufacturing industry accounted for 72%, and the primary metal sector accounted for 12% of total grams of dioxins that were being released, based off of the EPA. This graph shows the 10-year trend in the quantity of dioxins that facility released from 2012 to 2021. From this time period, toxicity equivalents decreased by 8%, indicating that the overall toxicity of dioxins that were released decreased despite an increase in the quantity that was being released. This is due to the changes in dioxin congeners that were being released at the time. This map shows the locations of facilities that reported dioxins to the EPA in the year 2021, sized by the relevant release quantities. As you can see in the right circle, many of the facilities that reported dioxins were located on the eastern part of the United States, with one facility in Kentucky releasing 32.21 pounds of dioxins and one in Texas releasing 64.47 pounds. Dioxins are a group of chlorinated chemicals that are produced unintentionally as byproducts of combustion and other industrial processes, including metal production. Dioxins break down very slowly in the environment and can last for years or decades in soil. There are 400 types of dioxin-like compounds, but TCDD is the most toxic. Around 90% of human exposure to dioxin is through the food we consume, since dioxins are eaten by animals and then stored mainly in their fatty tissue. Dioxins are extremely harmful and in turn can lead to liver damage and can impact one's nervous, hormone, and other major systems of the human body. Thank you.